Well, hello everyone and happy Friday. Welcome back. This is Lois Kofi. I'm a global sales trainer and lifestyle coach that really is passionate about bringing a new and exciting message to you every week here on my podcast. And this is a unique podcast because we're streaming live on my fan page and we want to welcome you. If this is your first time here to healthyandwealthyandwise.com is also my landing page where you can receive my different podcast monologues and weekly interviews directly to you wherever you are in this world. It's my passion to inspire you and educate and empower you each and every week, especially during this COVID-19, this pandemic thing, this new normal. A lot of us have been shelter in place. My guest and I are here in Southern California. And so we've been shelter in place. We've been homeschooling. We've been juggling a lot of different things. And this week's theme is health. Every week I have a different theme, either health, wealth, wisdom. Last week we had an amazing interview with a subconscious mind coach. And today, super excited. Oh, look, we have a comment. Who's here? Hello, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you guys here. Feel free to share this if you know people, especially if they're struggling with health and nutrition, because that is our focus today. It's no accident that that's the first of the three themes that I care about, because I've been through a lot myself. I lost my health, went through depression, anxiety, and a lot of that happened during the recession. So if there's viewers out there that right now are struggling with that, I will tell you a lot of it had to do with my nutritional choices. And I am not a certified nutrition coach or anything like that. So that's why I brought Julie Litchfield today. Right here, one of my best friends in Southern California, and she's going to share more. I'm going to let you, Julie, share more of your background, your story, and why you do what you do to help people navigate their health and nutrition journey. And specifically, our title today was Choosing Health for a Lifetime. So tell us more about you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lois, for having me on today. I am just honored and excited to be here, and especially in this pandemic craze that we're in right now, I will make a short disclaimer. There are four loose monkeys around this house, and since we all are shelter at home, I think we all kind of know what that's like right now. So there could be some potential ones that escape every once in a while. But just to give you a background on me, and I will do my best not to go through, I'll disclose my age, 45 years of history with me. But I've always all my life had a passion to help others, and it was just in me. And I didn't know exactly how to help others until I hit about the age of 28. But I was raised in Iowa. Both my parents were from farming families, and so they were used to being active, used to using food as fuel, because it wasn't necessarily a choice back then like it is today. It was a necessity. And so my mom instilled that in all of us kids growing up, that food is fuel. What you put in your body is going to dictate how you are, how your mood is, where you're going, how active you are during the day. And we all know, I hope everyone hasn't put bad gas in their car, but I have. And I know when I do put bad gas in my car, you know that you have it in there. It's sputtering, it's not doing that. And food is the same thing in our body. When we don't put the best foods in our body and the best things in our body, we tend to sputter and not do as well too. So we were raised like that. And when we moved out to California, my dad was unfortunately diagnosed with diabetes. So then we jumped into it even more. Not to say that we weren't already healthy when we had moved here, but it just brought new light into our situation and how to treat food. And so it became even more of a passion at that point. And when I hit the age of 28, I had hit kind of a low point in my life where I was working 13-hour days, 12, 13-hour days. And I was married at the time. My husband and I were both working a lot, and we had just lost our sense of nutrition. We knew better. We both knew what to do. We knew what it took. We knew putting food in your body was the most important thing. And I had gotten to the point where I quit putting food in my body. I would eat breakfast. Thought I was doing good because I drink water all day long. I might have a bar in the day and then eat in the evening. And I was exhausted. I had put weight on, which was even more concerning because I wasn't eating. So why was I putting weight on? So it was this whole back and forth. And finally, I met somebody that reminded me of my old ways, reminded me of how I grew up, and said, we need to change some habits. So enter in some serious habit changing from just, Lois, what you've already gone through with some of your guests the last few weeks. Some of those things were the changes I had to make as well too, both emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially, just everything had to start changing. And it wasn't everything all at once, but I had to look at those pillars of health that hold up our foundation, that build our foundation. And those pillars of health, again, go back to, what food am I putting in? So what's my nutrition? What's my exercise and activity? What's my sleep look like? What's my stress look like? Because stress is important. We need a certain amount of stress in our life, but we don't need a long-term amount of stress in our life. We need that short-term stress that gets us going. And then, of course, supplements. I was raised on supplements. My family was big on it, and it wasn't to use as a crutch. Supplements were in addition to the good foods that you've been eating and putting in your body, in addition to the activity you're doing and the sleep you're doing. But we built that, pillar of wellness back up in my life again, and that's what was needed. And all of a sudden, people that I'd been working with for years said, there's something different about you. And it wasn't necessarily, yes, I had lost a few pounds, but it wasn't that. Their comments were always, you're happier. Your mood has changed. Are you doing something different? And I was changing these habits about me. And again, getting back to food is fuel. The food that we put in our body is going to dictate everything that we do in life. And so it was exuding itself through my mood and through my personality and everything going on. So fast forward now, 16 years later, that little bit right there, I realized I knew what I wanted to do. Because sometimes you don't know how bad you feel until you feel good. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I've been feeling bad for a really long time because I feel really good today, depending on what habits you've changed, food wise, physical wise, emotion wise. And then you want to keep feeling that way. So I have that passion to see that joy and excitement in somebody's face when they do start to feel that way. And when they do start to hit their goals, that excites me and that totally lights my fire. And I just want to continue doing that for other people. That was a really quick history on me and why I am doing what I'm doing today.
That is awesome. Thank you. I love your passion. That's why I wanted to have you on here. I only want people who are truly transparent, authentic, and willing to share their story. And I know you have a much bigger, grander story. We'll share at the end how you guys can get in touch with Julie, of course. And I think you and I both grew up in Iowa. So that's one of the other things that we connected with. And I grew up on a farm and I had a garbage can mentality. I always thought, as an athlete and growing up on a farm, I thought, oh, I could eat whatever I want and then just go burn 3,000 calories at the gym or at, playing basketball, volleyball, all of those different things. And oh my gosh, that caught up with me I think it was about 28, 29. I hit the wall exactly the same as you. What I'd want you to share now is how you work with people, any testimonials, any transformation stories that really stand out to you when it comes to nutrition.
In 16 years time, there's amazing. I was kind of reflecting on that the last couple of weeks, and because one had come kind of full circle, that had started with me 16 years ago, and we've gone through different seasons of her life. And I think that's the biggest thing is no two bodies are the same. No two lives are the same. And so there's no perfect cookie cutter, okay, this is what I'm going to do every single time. This is why it probably takes me longer with each client, because I need to get to know them, and need to get to know what makes them tick. And if I already know them personally, that obviously gives me an advantage. But when I don't know them personally, then I need to dig in a little bit deeper. And So it's exciting to see the different seasons of life that people have been through, and dependent on where they're at in their life, what's most important to them, the transformation is huge for that person because it's just huge for their life, not somebody else's. So, for example, what I mean by that is sometimes there's some people that have trouble going to the bathroom. And I know we're talking about this on your podcast.
Just so you know, disclaimer, it's okay to talk about poop on here. I love talking about poop, so we're good. We're good.
Hey, if it's not coming out, it's not coming off. So, you know, to see the joy and excitement in someone's face when they get to go and it's easy to go, that, I mean, and for them, that was a huge transformation in their life. That's where I'm talking about how transformations are going to be different for each person. So that was huge for her on several accounts because she felt amazingly better. And then through the years, we've adjusted and done different things through the years. But that's just one, you know, that's always one that sticks out to me because so many people, there's such a terrible thing around it. Even when people use the emoji now, people are like, oh, and I'm like, but it's a part of life and you need to be doing it. Another one of my favorites, and it's happened with dozens and dozens and dozens of people I've worked with, where they get excited because they find out they actually get to eat more food. Because life is not a diet. And the majority of the time, especially when I'm working with women, sorry ladies, this is what we take on. One particular woman I was working with, she was working out 7 days a week and doing everything right, eating everything right. And finally I said, okay, the way you describe your routine, it sounds great, but can you just keep a food journal? And I know people don't get excited about writing their stuff down. I go, don't eat perfect for the next 3 days because you're going to send it to me, but at least write down how much you're having. Because the way she sounded on the phone to me was she's having plenty. And by the time we calculated up, this is before all the great apps too, mind you. So now it's a little bit easier with the apps that are out there now. But she wrote it all down. She was eating 900 calories a day. And she wasn't eating enough. She wasn't putting enough fuel in the tank to keep her moving. So here she's working out 7 days a week and she's doing all this stuff and her body is starving. So that was so exciting to see the light in her eyes that I can have more food. I get to eat more. Like, and even it was just a 1 week in of her eating the right amount of calories for her size, for her body type. And she was only trying to lose about 10 pounds where she was wanting to be. Just to kind of, she'd been on a plateau for a really long time. And in 1 week, she lost a couple of pounds and was like, do you know how much food I eat this week? I eat a ton. And it was just, it's those types of, for me, are exciting. Just as much as someone just saying they need the extra energy during the day, or adding in a few supplements that will help with that, but they're eating all the perfect foods. And again, supplements are only filling in the nutritional gaps that we have. And why do we have nutritional gaps? It's because sometimes due to stress. Sometimes we have that long-term stress that's just too much. And it's going to create some nutritional gaps in our bodies, even if we're putting the right food in. That stress is depleting those good foods, and we need to fill in with nutritional gaps. So that's all it's doing. So sometimes people just need that extra supplement, that extra something to give them some more energy, and some adjustments in their diet to put that energy back in, and how their day shifts because they have energy to move with their kids. They have energy to get their stuff done. So
that's so awesome. And we do have a question from the viewers. I'm going to get to that question in a second. Thank you, Kate, for that awesome question, because you started touching on it, but I want to reiterate, we're on the same wavelength. And I don't even know if you listened to my monologue podcast earlier in the week. I just was talking about how food is our medicine versus pharmaceuticals and quick fixes. There's no such thing as a magic pill, right?
thank you. No.
There's no such thing as a magic diet. That's a swear word for me, but I have a question, then I'm going to get to Kate's question. Do you get a lot of people asking you, hey, Julie, is keto good for me? Or I'm doing the Whole30, or I'm doing Atkins, or this is the flavor of the month diet.
Right.
How do you coach people around diet, and then I want to talk about caffeine alternatives because that was Kate's question. So go ahead and answer that first part.
So, you know, everyone will always say, Julie, what's the hardest thing about what you do? You know, what's your biggest challenge? And my answer has never changed in 16 years. It's quick fixes. Not necessarily even new trends like keto, like paleo, like Whole30, like no sugar for, and all this stuff that the things that are coming out. Those are fads that are coming out. And they'll forever come out. I'll never there's just gonna be another new thing tomorrow. And I'm okay with that. And what I help people with and train people on are facts that have never changed, that have always stayed the same, which is portion sizes. What's a portion size? How much should I be eating? This is the great thing is our measuring cups are right here. They're our hands. And so it's something that is simple and easy to use, but quick fixes can literally be my biggest challenge. And typically when someone comes to me and wants that quick fix, wants the magic in a bottle, I always, as nice as I can possibly say, you want to run as far as you can from that, because it's not, if you truly want to be healthy for the rest of your life, it's about making changes in your lifestyle, and in the seasons that you're in life, they're going to change over time. And this quick fix is going to be just that, a quick fix. And you're going to have to do something again 24, 30, 35, 40 days from now, 6 months from now. Even if it got you to 6 months of time of being where you want to be, it's not going to take you to where you need to be. There's no magic in anything that's going to be fast. And I mean, and we know that for everything in life, right? We know that for our wealth too. And there's no magic to quick wisdom either, right?
Yep.
And no matter how much that is promised, there's nothing in that that's going to help us be healthy for the rest of our life. I totally got off track with you on that one, but
Nope. It's all good. Remember, that's why I love this. This is live. However, the spirit leads you to go. It's a safe environment and positive and supportive. So Kate has a question. She says, I exercise and eat well most of the time, but I get so tired if I don't have caffeine. Can you recommend any alternative? And I can relate to that. I was a caffeine and sugaraholic sugar for sure since probably birth, but got worse in my 20s, and then I added Starbucks into my life, and I actually crashed. In theory, right? They tell us caffeine, it'll give you energy, it'll wake you up, all of that crap, if I can say that. And then I taxed my adrenals. My cortisol was constantly getting that hit, and I had chronic fatigue and depression, largely in part because of caffeine addiction. So what can you say to that?
And it's going to be, again, it's going to be different for every single person. Some people in life do need caffeine to stay focused, to help with that. And there is definitely healthy caffeines that you can use that are typically paired with vitamins that will help you get that healthy focus versus that addiction that we get to caffeine where we then feel tired and lethargic all day long afterwards. Depending on what caffeine is paired with, it's the vehicle that gets it there faster. So the biggest thing I always want to look at when someone does want to either take caffeine out of their diet or not be so dependent on it is we are going to sit down and talk about the foods, even if they are eating as healthy as they can. That's when I go old school on them and go back to, let's really talk about, what did you have to eat just the last 3 days? Have you felt lethargic the last 3 days? Yes. Okay, let's talk about what you ate. And let's really talk about how much water you've had. And it always really goes back to water. So yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here like this and I'm laughing because here's my rubber bands, and everyone laughs at me that I still have, I mean, I do a lot of old school stuff, but there's purposes behind it. I can have all the apps in the world that remind me to drink water, but I'm a visual person and I need to see if I've drank water during the day. So we'll always go back to that, where someone says, I drink plenty of water, Julie. I don't need more water. I'm like, great, can you just monitor it for me? Put some rubber bands on your water bottle and take one off each time that you drank it, or move it to the top. I move mine to the top, because then you can visually see, can you tell me how many times you've peed during the day? Let's really see if you're drinking the amount of water you say you are. And let's really look at your food, how far apart your food is spaced, and how long do you sit down to eat? That's the other big thing that people miss so much. And sometimes that's where a lot of our energy comes from too, is when we rest. And I'm not talking laying down, putting your head down, taking a nap. I'm talking resting while we're eating. And that means sitting down, and especially for our non-essential workers right now, where we are right now in life, we should be able to have time to sit down and eat, right? We're all at home. But how long does it take you to eat? And I get laughs sometimes when I ask, and they're like, well, it's like 30 minutes. I'm like, really? You sit for 30 minutes and eat? Let's count, let's set a timer and see. And I guarantee you, because the first time I ever did this, I was shocked. I thought, there's no way I just finished my food in 7 minutes time. And I wasn't inhaling. I was eating, drinking some water in between. And so it's so good to sit down and set a timer for 20 minutes. And let me promise you, my kids laughed at it because like they were savoring their last like 5 or 6 bites trying to get to the 20-minute time frame. But this is where it's good that if you do have people in your home with you, it's helpful. You have that conversation back and forth where you're eating, putting your fork down, having a conversation, picking your fork back up, eating again. But set a timer for 20 minutes. And no matter what food you're eating, good or bad, I promise you, you're going to get fuller faster. And you're not going to finish the food on your plate because you will be full and you're not going to go back for a second. All of that added up over time is going to increase your energy too, because you're putting the right portion sizes in your body, depending on the fact that you're stretching it out over at least a 20-minute period to sit and eat. It's not easy, I promise you. I guarantee. I have been the one standing at the kitchen counter while the kids are eating lunch, shoveling it in because I had to get to the next thing that I needed to do in life. So taking that time to rest while we're sitting there eating, it helps our brain communicate with our body that it's full. It helps our brain
Awesome.
communicate with our body that we are getting what we need, and then our energy levels will definitely change during the day. But then again, I need to sit and ask some more questions too about what's going on in life for energy wise.
Well, I was going to mention that. Kate is from the UK. She visited our BNI chapter, and I invited her to tune in. And so I may connect you guys so you can answer her question directly. And then I know you have your offering. I'll just mention this now. It's a little early because I want to talk about the pandemic and how to, in 5 minutes or less, how they can navigate the waters of the pandemic. But Julie is very, very knowledgeable, as you can see, and she's offering free online workshops anywhere anyone in the world now can attend. She's going global, which is awesome. This is a global podcast. And so I bring on global people and global experts. And so we'll tune in later on that information. But I know for myself, I've worked from home for a long time. We do tend to cook pretty well, but we're not perfect. And I do know that there's all these reports, right? Depression, anxiety is on the rise. The suicide rate is increased. The alcohol industry is thriving right now. People tend to lean heavily on their addictions during tough times. And this is certainly a very, very difficult time. So do you have any quick tips that you can share with the audience on how to, manage, I guess, what you could call emotional choices that could define their next few years? If they, like me, I was an emotional drinker and caffeine and sugar abuser for a long time, and it caused massive depression and massive gut health issues. So we don't want that for our viewers.
Right. And
So tell us.
I have to say that, since the 8 weeks that we have been home, it's changed each week. In the first week, it was about boosting our immune systems. In the next few weeks following, it was being more active in home because people realized they were sitting more than they've ever sat before. So being more active. And now what we're hitting now is more the mental and social aspects of it, of being like depression is sinking in deep, and lots of stressors are coming in because we're still home at this point. And so that has changed for sure how I'm coaching people through things. It's changing each week. The biggest thing right now is what I'm saying to people that are used to working outside the home, used to have, if they have children at home, used to having their kids go to school during the day. I'll tell you, I was really excited in that first week that I didn't have to pack lunches. But I quickly realized by day 4, I was losing my marbles because every 15 minutes I had one of my 4 kids telling me they were starving. They're hungry. And I'm like, the refrigerator's full. There's food in the house. But they were used to having a packed lunch. They are used to a routine. I may be used to working from home, and I know how I run things at home, and I know I don't go to the refrigerator all day because I'm used to working at home. They are not. So I had to realize I need to go back to packing lunches, but I didn't really pack a lunch bag, but I ended up just putting sections on the counter with their water bottles that I sent with them to school because they're used to drinking. This is how many water bottles I have in a day. So all of a sudden I realized they weren't drinking enough water anymore either. They weren't going through that because they're at home, they're in a different environment. This is not normal for them. So water bottles were set out, and their first snacks for the day and their second snacks, I go, if you know how I choose and how I want you to eat this during the day. But if you so choose to eat all your food in an hour, that's your allotment for the day. But it kept my sanity. It kept their sanity because they were used to a routine that at, 8:30, 9 o'clock, they had a snack when they went out to recess. That's when they were coming to me to get things. So they just went to the counter, grabbed their snack that they were normally used to, ate that, and kept on going. And I'm saying the same thing for adults. I'm giving you a kid example, but for people that are used to going to work, used to packing a lunch during the day, used to having snacks, that's the best thing you can do because you have a refrigerator right now readily available to you, which is great and not so great at the same time. You have cupboards readily available to you. You didn't have that at work. And so I am suggesting to everyone, put locks on the cupboards, meant to think that you're putting locks on the cupboards, but pack your snacks for during the day. I know it sounds cumbersome, like you need to pull it out, but put snacks on the counter in the refrigerator ready to go. And that's what you get during the day to keep you from overeating. Because if anything, that's what we're doing now because stress is hit in and depression for some. And a lot of times food is the go-to to make us happy, especially
That's
foods
awesome.
that we like.
And I know we won't get into it too much. I know you have also amazing products that can be great alternatives to caffeine, to alcohol. I mean, full disclosure, I had to, the nice thing is you don't go out to do happy hours other places, but like my winery was calling me, hey, we deliver. And I'm like, oh no, that's not good. And so I like no alcohol in the house. I mean, that's the kind of person I am. So no temptations, just throw it away or leave it alone, but then finding healthy alternatives, which I know you teach in your online workshops. Anything else about the pandemic? Any other quick tips?
The biggest thing is, a lot of times people will say to me, Julie, do you just like perfect all the time? No, heck no. I do want to live life too, and I want to enjoy the food, even though I believe food is fuel and that's what your body's using it for. You want to enjoy the foods that you're putting in. And I always will suggest to people, especially now, baking has become quite a big craze for a lot of people. Don't stop that, continue it. But we've all got Google, and we all can Google healthy baking recipes with kids. If you have kids at home, healthy baking recipes for yourself. Have fun with it. Still do those things and still splurge, but there are healthy recipes that are good for you, that taste good, and that you can still do splurging and have fun. I don't want people not to do that, especially because that's a great thing to do together. And so, if anything, I want to encourage people to not get so set back or set in their ways and to go back to a few routines that they used to do before. I know we're out of routine right now. I know it doesn't feel right. I know things aren't the same. Believe me, I've already stumbled a bunch of times in this last 8 weeks with just the way I do things too. And I've had to go back to bare bones basics. How much water am I drinking today? Putting those rubber bands on your water bottle and visually seeing that. And you will be amazed at just making sure that you're getting the water that you need in, walking outside for some sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Those two important things, you just can't go without it.
Awesome. Awesome. You heard it here first, and maybe not first, but a lot of this is really, really important stuff, you guys. I cannot ask you guys enough to really strongly watch this a couple times. And we're about to close it out, so I already posted this in the comments. If anybody has a question, feel free to ask it now. But I always like to ask this next question as my final question for the day because it goes along with my theme of my podcast. And again, I explained it at the beginning. If you guys don't know, my podcast is called Healthy and Wealthy and Wise. And I interview different experts each week on these different 3 segments and 3 topics. But when you put all of those things together, the health, the wealth, the wisdom, what does that mean for Julie?
You know, I woke up the other morning and it totally hit me. I'm like, I love how smart you are when you picked that for your website name and when you chose that. Because when you really read it the way it's supposed to be read, healthy and wealthy and wise, it's truly being healthy in the wealth of wisdom. If you just read it straight through like that, they're all interconnected. And in my mind, yes, does wealth mean money? Sure, wealth means money. We all need money to live and survive and buy food and stuff. But it's the wealth and wisdom to be able to be healthy for the rest of our lives, just a constant circle. And they're all intertwined in the way that if we can't see them all connected, then we aren't choosing to be healthy for the rest of our life. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head.
It's beautiful, and you hit the nail on the head. I for me, it was, I don't want anyone to go through what I did, which was, I thought I was healthy, which that's a whole nother conversation, but I just focused on my sales career. I focused on making the money and just figuring it out as I went, and everything's perfect. Everything happens for a reason. I learned so much. It was worth the price of admission. But when I lost my health and my wealth, and I was like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? The most important thing out of all of that was my health. Because money can always be remade, recycled. I lost 5 years of my life, and it was so expensive when my health was in the gutter, trash can, whatever. It took me 5 years to get out of that, and I made so little income, and a lot of people are potentially starting to experience that right now. If you lost your job, I'm so sorry. My heart is there for you. I went through that in the last recession. I had no income, no way of making money for quite some time, and then my health was compromised. So we don't want that for you. So if you find time now, do what Julie said. Start taking care of yourself each and every day. And one way that they can maybe take action on that, and Julie, I'm going to have you, maybe I was looking up your email address. I apologize. Here we go. I'm going to share with these guys your contact information, but why don't you tell them about your free workshops and how they can attend?
Sure. So free workshops via Zoom, obviously now. I love teaching them in person, but why not just get to everybody across the United States and globally if I can, would be wonderful. But they literally are 3rd grade level. And I think I loved it best when I actually was teaching a family and had a 2nd grader and they said, I can't be in on this. I'm like, oh, I promise I should have never said that. Everybody can learn from this. But it's the basics. It's getting back to the basics of life, of learning what a carb, protein, and fat is, what a portion size is, how to balance that in a day, and what that looks like for each healthy individual. Obviously, if someone's under the care of a healthcare individual or a physician, I always am going to say take everything you learn back to them, of course. But it's the basics that have never ever changed, that have always been around. Portion sizes have never changed. So we go through all of those fun things and help people understand how to eat their.
Awesome. Yeah, and knowledge is power. However, I'm all about accountability. Having also had a fitness background like you, and nutrition and health and fitness for a long, long time, no one succeeds alone. I have a saying that we always got to have support, accountability, and what you do is so invaluable. Not anything against any brand new health coaches or brand new nutrition people, but I know for me, when I was going through my journey, I wanted to work with the best, the seasoned, the experienced. So guys, please reach out to her. Again, her email address is there. I'll also introduce any of you guys if you want a personal introduction. Again, take advantage of her free online virtual workshops while we have this, although I have a feeling we're going to be online for a long time, and Julie's probably going to fall in love with that and do it forever. Anything else? Any last words, Julie, before we close it out?
I have a lot of last words. Right now, right now, I just think the biggest thing to help us all through this is lowering our stress. And when you can and when you feel good about it, and I know this might sound silly, but hug somebody. Hugging lowers stress. Like, and I'm a big hugger, obviously. So when you're not a big hugger, if you're not a big hugger, you're like, oh, I don't like doing that. Someone else in your life is a big hugger. Hug them. That's going to lower our stress. That's going to bring us back to what we really need right now. And that's, I know we're doing everything online, but hug the person that's closest to you.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing. That's a good, on a positive note to end. I'm just going to leave that right there. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you would like the recording sent to you, I do these live interviews every single week. Next week is, I'm taking a kind of a new spin. Next week is the wealth week, but wealth is not all about money, guys. I learned that the hard way. Wealth is also about social capital. So next week I'm going to be interviewing the Travis Sims. He's one of my dearest and best friends. He's building a global, right now, online community to help you expand your social capital, make more connections, which is something I'm very passionate about. And he's going to be talking about how to build a network right now through this pandemic that will give you the social capital, that'll give you the financial capital that'll feed your family for the rest of your life. So you can subscribe to the podcast here on my landing page. And also just going to throw this out there because I know I'm also live streaming this in my Kofi is for Closer, private group. I think I need a snack. The blood sugar is dropping, Julie. So here we go. I'm going to start speaking in tongues or something soon if I don't wrap this up. So at any rate, thank you guys for taking the time to tune in. If you like this, please share it. If you want to get in touch with Julie and I can make that personal connection for you, also reach out to me. And until next time, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, and take care of you. Treat yourself with kindness and grace and love others. And we appreciate you taking time to be here today. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend.